Welcome to Build Next, where I explore the ideas, founders, and capital shaping the future. Today, I spoke with Tiffany Zhong, known as the Gen Z Whisperer. She dropped out of Berkeley at 18 and built noplace, a Gen Z social app that was once #1 in the App Store. This conversation is extremely valuable to any founder building a B2C company in the age of AI. We dive into what it takes to go viral, understanding and learning from your customers, as well as using past playbooks and building your own. Tiffany, so your company noplace hit #1 on the App Store. Can you walk me through your train of thought in creating a company that would touch millions of people? Was it a new playbook? Was it one that you've seen before and learned after?
So it was really looking at, I've always been tracking trends, and it was really looking at what's currently happening and what are the current problems in the market to solve for. And so there were a few different things at play. It's like social media is all media these days. There's not much social anymore, and I think people are yearning to have that, especially the younger generation. And so there's that big gap in the market. And another thing is that Gen Z is very into vintage and throwback, and like all of these like old school like trends are coming back. And I've always been of the belief that trends and behavior happen in cycles. Like what's old is new again. Human behavior and needs don't really change that much. And so ultimately what we're solving for here is connection, right? And there's like really no place for self-expression and connection, especially in one place. And so giving people the option to customize the profiles however they want, whatever colors they want, so that they can use it as a form of like their identity and express themselves. That's one thing. Another thing is to connect with others who have the same interests as them. And you might have 3 really random interests and they don't really overlap with each other, but a few other people that are thousands of miles away might have the same 3 random overlapping interests as you. And so how do you find these people right now? There's not really any way to find these people. So that's that was kind of my thought process in how we landed on working on noplace.
Okay, so knowing the customer and then building something for that specific customer. That's
and also watching the market and watching the trends and you want to ride the waves right. You also want to create new trends when it makes sense to do so, which is kind of what we did. Like Instagram also added custom profiles for their top creators, like after we launched this. And so it's kind of the timing is also very important. Just really understanding what's happening in the world, how people are feeling, and just having a deep understanding of like consumer behavior.
And when was the first time noplace really went viral? Was it after a video you posted, or was there some campaign around it?
So the way we validated this idea was I was just throwing a couple videos on TikTok and floating the idea of like Gen Z MySpace to see how people would react to it before we even wrote one line of code. It was pure like design and marketing to like validate it. And from there, we had videos that kept resonating and kept going like viral at a small scale, but people were sharing it with each other. People were bookmarking it. The comments were like, when is this going to be out? Like, can we get access? And at this time, like, mind you, like the app was not even built yet. Like there was nothing there. And these kids were like yearning for it. They were just like, we really want to use this. Like, this looks so sick. Like, when can we get access? Where can we download it? And so we tied like our TikTok and our Twitter, by the way, like with a waitlist link in our bio. And so we just drove people to the waitlist in order to kind of gauge demand and also time. Like we didn't want that traffic to go to waste, but we also wanted to validate the idea. And so those ended up being our first couple hundred like beta users that we gave access to. Like we set them up on test flight. They had never used test flight, right? These are like random kids from random parts of the world who are just like, we really want to use this. And so it was a lot of viral moments over time across Twitter and TikTok. And it kind of snowballed from there because our app is very visual and it's very easy to share. And so a lot of Twitter influencers were just sharing it and their comments were like, what is this app? Where can we download it? And we started giving them invite codes. And so it just kept going from there. But we knew we had something that was working when people started selling referral codes on eBay and Reddit and TikTok comments. I was like, this is nuts. Like,
Without you endorsing the influencers,
absolutely.
right? Wow.
Yeah. I was not part of this process. We were just like, we just read comments. I was like, people are selling, and I had friends who were texting me being like, dude, like people are selling invite codes on like Reddit. I was like, what? It's nuts. Like, that's when you know you have something that's like working, when people are sharing it without you obviously telling them to share it. It's just like, we actually wanted it to be more of a slow build as we validated the product rather than like open the floodgates, because we wanted to make sure that the product was like, polished and good enough before we allowed lots of people. But people just kept inviting their friends. Like, we had to like kind of
cut off the wait list.
Kind of cut it off, actually. It was like, we had to do it in like cohorts, basically, of onboarding people, because I also didn't want to have like a leaky bucket situation where people come and they leave. So we wanted to like fine tune the product. So we did that.
Make sure the initial users stay. How closely associated was your personal brand, do you think, in building this and having the ability to kind of go viral and attract the masses? In this day and age, I feel like a lot of influencers or anything building out to consumers, they really focus on showcasing their personal brand and identity and tying that in and gaining a lot of followers that way. Do you think that's really important for future consumer founders to do? And did you do that, or maybe not so much?
It really depends on the product. It really depends on what product you're selling and how you are solving for distribution, like what the go-to-market plan is. Obviously, today, everyone is talking about like distribution. And it's like, this is something I've been talking about and thinking about for like a decade. Like, how do you solve for distribution? And so I really like the concept of like creator first businesses, because the distribution is solved. Building products is not the hard part anymore, right? Like, obviously with Claude and Codex, like getting the product out there is not hard anymore. Getting people to care about your product is. Getting people to love your product and share your product is hard. And so what we early on TikTok, there might be like a few videos here and there of my face, but I didn't really leverage that as much because we had a network of micro creators that we worked with who were running like, let's say, fan accounts for K-pop groups or different fandoms and these different communities. And we wanted it to be pretty widespread in terms of coverage. So like me as the face of it, like wouldn't make that much sense. However, the way we built the product, I was automatically friended with every user that joined so that they would have one friend at least. And this is kind of a throwback to what Tom did at MySpace. And so everyone had me as a friend. Everyone could come to me and post on my wall and ask me questions. And they started calling me like mother of no place. So within the ecosystem, I have like a brand. And like being very active and responding to questions and comments and doing like user interviews. Really, there was a month where all I did was user interviews, like 9 hours a day, and just talking to all of these users, understanding where they came from, what was compelling about the product to them, who they shared it with, what they wanted to see more of. I even asked them a question like, hey, if you're the CEO of this app, like what would you do? Like, what is like the one thing you would change? If you could overhaul, you could do anything. Like you have a magic button. You can do anything you want. And so I took a different approach of just kind of building that community from the ground up and really kind of building these like soft relationships, like in terms of like customer relationships or user relationships with all of these users so that they felt bonded to like the community and to the app and that they felt heard. It was like giving them a voice. Like I cared a lot about that. But going back to your original question of like is the best way to build is the best approach to like build a personal brand and like have that go viral and tie that to the product. I think personal brand matters more than ever. It doesn't matter if you're a consumer company. It doesn't matter if you're a B2B company. You have to have a personal brand now. And you also, for the most part, have to have a pretty good Twitter audience and understanding. Twitter is pop culture, but Twitter's also where tech and policies and things happen as well. So for people who are on one side or the other, where they're like, oh, I'm B2B, I don't need to be on Twitter. Or I'm building in consumer, I don't need to be on Twitter. It's like everything happens on Twitter. Like there's a whole world on Twitter. And we leverage that. Right? Like a lot of people use TikTok for distribution, but there's a whole Twitter, like Gen Z, massive Gen Z audience that's super underrated and underrated Twitter influencers as well to work with because they're not used to brand deals as well. So you can just toss them 100 and they'll like repost something for you. It's like, there's a really interesting arbitrage there. Yeah, versus Instagram versus Twitter. Like, I think Twitter is really, really underrated in the way people are using it. And I believe in going direct, like as a CEO, go like talk to your customers, talk to your users, consumer or B2B, doesn't matter. It's my very strong point of view.
Tip for all founders, Tiffany says you should have a Twitter profile. That's great. How do you think, kind of like staying on like the Twitter, do you think that going viral, with there's so much mass media out there and there's constantly new trends, and specifically on Twitter, there's always something new happening. There's a new conversation. Things get picked up really fast and kind of like take over. How do you stay like current and up to date in all the trends, whether it's participating in them, whether it's creating new trends? Did you have a massive team behind? Yeah.
No. I just, you kind of just have to care. It's not really something you can outsource. Like parts of it you can outsource, but depending on your business, there's also so many different ways of staying up to date with things that are relevant to you, relevant to your business. Now with agents that you can just customize, like just build a custom, like AI powered RSS feed, like what we had or what people used to have back in the day, and pull in the most kind of relevant things. But also I think it's like, I don't know, I'm just very online. I'm just very chronically online for better or for worse. But I think it really depends on your business, on whether you even need to stay up to date with like search. If you're in consumer, yes. Or you have someone on your team who is chronically online. Like, I think you have to have that.
And capture those trends and use that as momentum.
Use them as momentum, and then how you create trends is you have to kind of see what's happening, like and having a like strong opinion on where you think things will go next. That's how trends happen as well.
Yeah.
But to be honest, a lot of trends that we see today are engineered, and we don't see that part of it, and we just think it comes out of nowhere. But you can engineer trends. This is a very kind of specific music reference, but remember Lil Nas X? And Old Town Road, like he engineered that on Reddit.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't think people know this story or I don't think as that many people know this story, that he basically posted like a sneak peek on Reddit. I was like, what is this song? Guys, help me figure this out. There's something along those lines where he was LARPing as not the artist behind it.
Right.
And so people were like, wow, this song's good. This is like, what is it? And so he just kind of did all of these little things that created a moment. And trends come and go, but I think it's also relevant to create different types of moments for your brand, for your company, and have something that's like pretty sustainable and like just keep going, right? Like be reliable, be consistent, versus just trying to latch on to certain trends as well, where we see big brands sometimes just see something trending and they try to copy it or they try to leverage it. They're too slow or it's cringe. It's just doesn't make sense because they don't actually understand the trend and they have no opinion. They're just doing it for the sake of doing it. Right.
And that's, I mean, one of like the biggest advantages that a startup has is that because maybe they don't have much to lose on their brand and they can try out a bunch of different things and see what sticks pretty quickly and early on. What have you recently seen other consumer founders do really well?
What have consumer founders done really well? I do think going back to your earlier question about being a creator, and even if you don't see yourself as a creator, but really just documenting and like building in public and sharing stories, I think that it resonates with customers. It's all storytelling. It's all narrative. It's all like, it's you versus the other brand, and they're going to go with the brand that they think they understand better, like that they think the CEO or the founder is more trustworthy or cool or funny or hip. It's like there's so many different traits, right? It's not just one. It's like just be yourself and lean into it and think of it as documentation as opposed to creating content, because I think there's a mental hurdle that a lot of founders or people who aren't like natural content creators see, where they're like, I'm not a creator. I don't know what to write about. I don't know what content to make, but you could just document the things you're trying, the things you're doing, the experiments you're running, the lessons you've learned, your win, losses to a certain extent, right? But it makes you more human. And I think that you want to have this really fine balance of like being relatable, but also being aspirational. And I think if you're a startup founder, you already have some of that aura of being aspirational. Like, you don't need to really try to be aspirational. Like, you're living it. You're living a hard life as a founder who's raised money, right? So
Yeah.
it's hard to say. It's really, really, really kind of specific to each company and each CEO as well, right? Like, leaning into their personality and their strengths and what they want to do.
And anything, I feel like in this day and age, like there's so many different personalities that can go viral, that can make it work. It's not a one mold fits all.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Last thing, I always like to ask this, what current AI tools are you using that you're a fan of to help go viral?
A lot of Claude. A lot of Claude. ChatGPT's image generation is better that when we've tried, so I kind of like do things there first, and then I think Claude has a better like thinking brain. So yeah, mostly those tools, and then like all sorts of other little random tools that we're always playing with here and there, but yeah, nothing specifically like set in stone. Like, we use like Google AI, Google Studio and stuff like that. Midjourney, kind of the classic tools, and we also just build a lot of stuff in-house as well. But like custom solutions, so yeah.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. And anything else on your newest venture going forward, and advice for go back to when you first started noplace? Looking back, what advice would you give yourself now that you've seen the journey, if you were allowed to go back?
Consumer social is tough. This is very specific to our social network, or social networks in general, but moderation is something. And going back, I probably would have just, created, like with the tools we have today, I would have just rigged up a bunch of AI tools for our own moderation to scale it up, because I think it's really, really tricky, and it's also platform dependent, and there's no like one size fits all, and we have like community managers and moderators, and it's always like, it's like playing whack-a-mole type of situation. It's like, just imagine that for like the community. It's tricky. It's like a hard balance, you don't want to be too extreme, but you don't want to be too lenient. It's like there's problems on both spectrums.